Hallo almal, hello everybody. In vandag se les gaan ons leer hoe om 'n e-pos te skryf. In today's lesson, we are going to learn how to write an email. Nou ek weet almal van julle het al 'n e-pos gestuur op een of ander tyd. So vandag gaan ons net bietjie vinnig kyk na die verskillende tipes e-posse en watter taal ons moet gebruik wanneer ons sulke e-posse skryf. So I know all of you have written an email to someone at some point. So I know that you know what an email is and how to type one. But today we are going to recap on the different types of emails that we can send and the type of language that we need to use for each situation. When do we send an email? Wanneer stuur ons 'n e-pos? An email works similarly to a letter. 'n E-pos werk soos 'n brief. So, emails can be sent for different reasons. Net soos briewe kan e-posse vir verskillende redes gestuur word. Ons kan 'n e-pos aan ons vriende en familie stuur om met hulle te kommunikeer. We can send emails to our friends and family to communicate with them, especially when they live far away. Ons kan aansoek vir werk doen per e-pos. But we can also use the email to apply for a job opportunity. Ons kan klagtes lê oor produkte, dienste waaroor ons ongelukkig is met e-posse. We can also use emails to lay complaints about products and services that we are unhappy with. Kom ons leer bietjie meer oor die e-pos. Let's learn a bit more about the email. E-pos in Afrikaans word met 'n verpligte koppelteken geskryf. The word email in Afrikaans, e-pos, is written with a compulsory hyphen. Dit is die elektroniese oordrag van boodskappe, briewe, dokumente, prente of foto's. So what is an email? An email is the electronic transfer of messages, letters, documents, pictures and photos. E-posse is vandag 'n gewilde vorm van kommunikasie omdat dit vinnig, gerieflik en bekostigbaar is. Look carefully at the way that e-posse is spelled in the plural. Now, emails are a very popular form of communication today. Why? It is fast, convenient and affordable. Die taalgebruik van jou e-pos moet pas by die situasie en die persoon vir wie jy die e-pos stuur. Very important, the language that you use in your email must suit the situation and the person to whom you are writing an email. For example, if you are writing an email to Granny and Granddad, you are going to use the type of language that you would when you are speaking to them in person. But if you are writing an email to your boss, you would need to use formal language. So you can't, for example, at the end of the email say, "Love, Timmy." You would have to use a formal greeting. You cannot say, "Hi, boss." You would have to use a formal greeting. And that is what we are going to look at in today's lesson. Ons kan 'n e-pos vir meer as een ontvanger stuur. What's nice about an email is that we can send it to more than one receiver. Let's say you want to invite all of your friends to the party. Instead of sending individual emails to each of them, you can copy all of them in on your email. Okay, so now we are going to write our email. Ons gaan nou ons e-pos skryf. Wat is die eerste ding wat ons moet doen wanneer ons 'n e-pos skryf? What is the first thing that we need to do when we are writing our email? And this is applicable to any writing piece. Ons gaan enige skryfstuk so begin. Doen jou beplanning met 'n vloeidiagram. When we are writing anything, whether it's an email, a dialogue, a friendly letter, or a paragraph, we are going to start with planning. And we can use a flow chart or a mind map, similarly to this one here. At the top of my flowchart, my fluid diagram, I'm going to start with my topic. So your teacher will give you a few topics to choose from, and you can write the topic that you chose here. So ek gaan my onderwerp hier neerskryf. So kom ons sê my onderwerp is ek gaan kuier op die plaas by ouma en oupa. So the topic that I have chosen is that I'm going to visit Granny and Granddad on the farm. So now that I know what my topic is about, I'm going to branch out and I'm going to write some ideas, some things that I would like to say in my email. And then I'm going to use my flowchart when I'm writing my first draft. And I'm going to write all the things that I wrote in my flowchart in my first draft. So die eerste dingetjie wat ek gaan neerskryf by my vloeidiagram is vir wie die e-pos bedoel is en waaroor dit gaan. So the first block of my flowchart I will be using to write down who this email is for and what it is about. So hier gaan ek skryf dit is vir ouma en oupa en dit gaan oor my kuier op die plaas. Now why is it important that I say that it's for Granny and Granddad and that it's about my visit on the farm? Because that is going to help me with the type of language that I can use in my email. I don't want to write formal language because Granny and Granddad will probably think I've gone mad if I do that. I want to write in a type of language that I use when I speak to them over the phone or when I see them in person. All right, so it's very important to write who your email is for and what it will be about. Then I'm going to start with ideas for my first paragraph. In my first paragraph, I am going to expand or elaborate on my ideas for my topic. So in jou eerste paragraaf brei uit oor jou onderwerpsin. Perhaps I'm going to tell Granny and Granddad that I cannot wait to visit them on the farm and I am excited to see them and I hope that they are excited to see me. Then in my second paragraph, I'm going to give any extra information that Granny and Granddad might have to take note of. Perhaps I'm bringing a friend along, so they need to get the spare bedroom ready for my friend. So in jou tweede paragraaf gaan jy verdere inligting waarvan jy die leser bewus wil maak. So I'm writing down those ideas here. Then in my last little block, I'm going to end off my email, slate off. Okay, and if it is an email that you're writing to your boss, you would have to use a greeting that is very formal. Something like die Eva of groete. But if it's a email that goes out to your friends and family, you can say liefde Timothy, for example. And also if it's a formal email, we are going to write our contact details at the end of the email so that the company or person that we are in contact with knows how to contact us. All right, what is the next step in our email? Skryf jou eerste poging. We are now going to write our first draft. Begin met die ontvanger se e-posadresse. So I'm going to type in my receiver's email addresses. All right. So I am going to send this email to Granddad and to Granny. All right. And then the next step is to include anybody else that you would like to see this message. Is daar enigiemand anders wat jy wil insluit by die boodskap? So I'm going to CC that person in. And this is Dad. I'm CCing Dad in so that Dad knows of my communication with Granny and Granddad and he doesn't ask the same thing that I have just asked him in the email. All right, then step number 4, skryf jou onderwerpsin. Very, very important. The subject, the topic, onderwerpsin. So there's a space here for the topic. Now the topic tells my reader what the email is about. So I'm going to say, kuier op die plaas, my visit on the farm. Now very important, hou jou onderwerpsin kort en kragtig. You need to keep it short and sweet. Jou e-pos sal uitbrei oor jou onderwerpsin. Why do we keep this topic sentence short and sweet? Because your email will explain it. So you don't have to write an entire paragraph here. You can just write a brief sentence. Alright, so now that that is done, we go to step 5 and we are going to start with our greeting. Begin jou e-pos met 'n groet. Now remember, each greeting is different depending on the email that you will be sending. This email goes out to family and friends. So I will probably say, hello, Oma and Opa. If I am writing to a company or I'm applying for a job, I would probably use geachte meneer or geachte. If I know the person's surname, I would put that here. Geachte meneer Stewart. If I'm writing to friends or loved ones, I can also use liewe instead of hallo. Please make sure that you spell hello correctly in Afrikaans if you decide to use hello. Very important, daar is geen leestekens na die groet nie. Whichever greeting you decide to choose, there are no punctuation marks at the end of the greeting. No full stop and no comma. Gebruik die groet wat pas by die ontvanger en die inhoud van jou e-pos. You must choose the greeting that matches the content and the reason for your email. Alright, let's move on to step 6. Now I'm going to type my message. Begin jou boodskap, skryf in paragrawe. We have to write in paragraphs. When do we start a new paragraph? Begin 'n nuwe paragraaf vir nuwe idees. So let's say, for example, you are talking about your visit in the first paragraph and how excited you are to see Granny and Granddad. And then you would like to ask them if you can bring a friend along. That will be the next paragraph. In the next paragraph, you will ask them if you can bring a friend along, because that is a different idea to your excitement of going to the farm. So let's look at an example. Hallo Oma en Opa, and as you can see, no punctuation marks. Ek is vreeslik opgewonde om volgende naweek by julle te kom kuier. I'm very excited to come and visit you next weekend. Die plaas is een van my gunsteling plekke en ek kan nie wag om julle weer te sien nie. The farm is one of my favorite places and I cannot wait to see you again. Now look carefully, there is a spelling error here as well as here. Now this is very important for later on. Remember that. Ek wou vra of julle sal omgee as ek my hond strepe saambring plaas toe. Very important. Next paragraph, I am asking if they would mind if I brought my dog Stripes along. Hy sal dit baie geniet om in die veld rond te hardloop en in die dam te baljaar. So I'm explaining to them why I would like to bring him along. He would enjoy running in the fields and playing in the dam. Ek sal mooi na hom kyk terwyl ons daar is en seker maak hy eet nie die hoenders nie. I will take good care of him while we are there and make sure he does not eat any of the chickens. Mama stuur haar liefde en vra of ouma asseblief sal seker maak dat ek haar elke dag bel wanneer ek op die plaas is. So now I have started a new paragraph because now I'm saying Mom is sending her love and asks that Oma please make sure that I phone her every day while I'm on the farm. So this idea is separate to this idea. This idea of Mom has nothing to do with my dog. That's why it's in its own paragraph. Ek sien uit na ons kuier. I look forward to our visit. Groete, Nick. And again, in my greeting at the end, I do not use any punctuation marks. All right. So the one thing that I want you to take careful note of is we leave a line open after the greeting. We leave a line open in between paragraphs. And we leave a line open after the last paragraph and the greeting at the end. Once again, the greeting at the end has no apostrophe. All right, let's move on to step 7. Now, we've already kind of discussed step 7 in the previous slide. So now we are going to look at it in a bit more detail. Sluit af met 'n groet of jou kontakbesonderhede as die e-pos formeel is. So you're going to end off with a greeting, and if it's a formal email, you are also going to give your contact details. All right, and remember, there is no punctuation marks in the greeting. geen leestekens na die afsluiting nie, no komma, no full stop. Gebruik die afsluiting wat pas by die ontvanger en die inhoud van jou e-pos. You must use the greeting that suits your email. Right. So, for example, if you are going to write a formal letter to a company or to apply for a job, you are going to greet and you are going to write your initials and surname. And then you are going to give your position in your company that you work for or the title that you currently maintain. So for example, administrasie, Absa hoofkantore, Germiston. So let's say this person is an administrative worker at ABSA main offices in Germiston, and he also gives his phone number for his office. Okay, so this is the format that you would use if you are ending off a formal letter. Your position, the place that you work for, the address of the place, and the telephone number. That's very important. Okay, so vir besigheids-e-posse sluit ons af met die titel van die posisie, die maatskappy, die adres en die telefoonnommer waar jy gekontak kan word. And remember, in a formal letter, you sign off with your initials and surname. You can't use your nickname here because these people do not know you by your nickname. All right, and that is it for the email writing. So now the very last step in writing process is to edit. Redigeer jou eerste poging. So you have typed your first draft and now you're going to edit it. Now, what do we mean when we say edit? This means that you're going to look through your first draft and make sure that you have eliminated any mistakes. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to look at is maak seker jou taalgebruik pas by die situasie en die mense vir wie jy die e-pos stuur. Again, you need to make sure that your language is appropriate for the situation and the person to who you are sending an email. Then, gebruik jou woordeboek en maak spelling en leestekens reg. So you're going to grab your dictionary and you're going to make sure that you have spelled your words correctly. Then read through each of your sentences and make sure you have used your punctuation marks correctly. Make sure that you have started sentences with capital letters, that there's a full stop after every sentence, a question mark when you have asked a question. All right, and then maak seker jou groet en afsluiting pas by die situasie en die mense vir wie jou e-pos is. Okay, so go back to your greeting at the beginning and your greeting at the end. Make sure that you have written the correct greeting for the situation and the people who you have written the email for. Alright, and then lastly, maak seker dat jy reels oopgelaat het na elke paragraaf. Remember to leave lines open between paragraphs. Okay, so let's look at the edited version of my email. Alright, so remember when we did step 6, I said to you there were 2 spelling errors. So now in my final draft, I am going to correct those spelling errors. And this would be my final email. And that is how we write and edit an email.